Moving on to the next pasuk. We're at Bereshit Yud Aleph, pasuk Zayin, Genesis 11, number 7. Hava, we're going to use a mapach, so we're going to fold what has come from before and move it into even sharper focus. After the cautious verdict was announced by God in relation with the beginning of the previous sentence, angels volunteered to render their service, saying, "Let's try to intervene from above," in accord with the attempts below, as indicated by the shape of the reading mark. Shem tachat shem, or midah keneged midah. Here we're going to say that from above is going to overcome below. So we're going to get the two hays. The from above is going to intervene into Bereshit, into the things that were created below. So hey, beit, hey. We're going to introduce divine justice into the equation, and we're talking in the plural sense. So that is why we have to introduce the concept of angels, not the concept of God himself intervening.
I was just going to say that, but angels, last time we heard this was, "Let us make man," and he does it in the plural to the angels. He's talking to, who's he talking to? There's other people, so he's talking about. But what did you just say about the hey, big hey? I missed that.
That we're taking the justice that is above, the hey that is above, and we're going to bring it to down below with a hey at the end of the word, to the concept, the things that are in Bereshit, the things that were made in Bereshit,
which is
the things, the world down below. So we're going to take justice from above and bring it into Bereshit, bring it to down below. Hey, beit, hey. Nerda, we shall descend with a katon, so a two-part note.
No, but when you said the angel thing, what were you talking about the angel thing?
So the angel thing, hava is a plural word.
Right.
Let's.
So who's he talking to? So it's the same idea, but
it's plural.
Let us make it man.
And that's why we have to introduce the concept of angels here.
But he doesn't say, right, okay.
He says the word angels.
Where?
After the cautious verdict was announced by God in relation to the beginning of the previous sentence, angels volunteered to render their service.
Okay, fine.
Saying, let's try. Plural word, because the angels are expressing it. Number 2, nerda, with a katon. Members.
We're going to start by Yered, or what was that first sentence we did? By Yered, and then we did, there was another Yered. Remember we said, redu, I said redu. Okay, right, okay.
As messengers of God, we shall descend, nerda, corresponding with nivne lanu. We should build for ourselves. So the men are making a effort in the plural sense, and the angels are going to make an effort in the plural sense, applying to the wish of the Creator in the sense of the Gemara, shlucha demalcha kimalcha. The messengers of the king are like the king doing it himself, as pointed out by the bipartite shape of the reading mark. So we're going to take God's intentions and we're going to make them the reality. So nerda, we're going to come down and take what God has from up above and bring it to down below, i.e. the strictest sense of justice, of judgment. Vinavla, and we shall perplex. And again, an interesting definition of the word balal, beit lamed lamed, which means to mix up. We're taking it in an intellectual sense, to perplex, rather than to make something more random than it was before, i.e. to mix.
It's also interesting.
We had focused on the sentence before that all of them had a single intention. So because this is a thought process we're dealing with, the word perplex, to confuse in a intellectual sense, is much more important than to, i.e. physically mix them up and separate them out in a physical sense.
It's also, since it's just foreshadowing, it has that sound of navocha, which does mean confusing and perplexing. It's the same construction. Now, it's not the same root, obviously, but the first two letters are. Navocha, Va'ir Navocha. It is confused. So it's, here, it's more the meaning of Navocha when you say perplexed. You know what I mean?
Trying to remember, there was a gentleman who tried to take every three-letter Hebrew shoresh and say, in fact, it was, what's his name?
Holman. Not Hirsch, before Hirsch. That says that really, we were always trained that it's a three-letter
So,
shoresh. I say it all the time. Two letters, and then the third is...
Both Malbim and Hirsch introduced the concept.
That it's two letters,
and
and the third is just fine-tuning.
there's a guy who now is trying to define every Hebrew root as being in fact every three-letter root as being composed of two-letter roots.
No, that's different. The 2 and 2 is when it looks like it's a four-letter, like Carmel or something.
No,
I'm telling you, because the three-letter ones are the two letters and just a fine-tuning. But if it looks like the four-letter, it's really 2 and 2.
Nouns or verbs?
Talk about
Everything
nouns.
comes from verbs.
Taking every Hebrew noun and trying to divide it into two-letter
Where did you read this
roots. No. He spoke at
Oh, you
at
mean
the
Isaac?
at the village shul
Years ago.
a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's Isaac Moseson, I think.
Isaac Moseson.
Yes, he wrote the book, The Word, and he's the one I told you that Marty, his good friend of Marty Rosen, who was from Yeshiva University. He every year he taught at the Israel Center. He went one year with his daughter, and they were in Sfat or something, and they went on a trip. Remember I just mentioned this? And the Arabs changed the signs, and he ended up, because they changed the sign, he ended up in the desert, and he lost consciousness. His daughter, they flew in, she ran for help, called in helicopters, and for 20 years, he couldn't speak. And he only after, when you saw him in the village shul, he was finally getting back, so much so that Marty Rosen saw that Isaac Moses, I went to Best by Isaac Moses, he went to the village, he didn't even recognize him, that's how much he had changed, and he was already, that was his first public speech since he had improved after 20 years. That's how devastating the effect was, because the Arabs changed the sign. But my point before was about, that we're talking about Safa here, and we talk about Nevel Peh, Nivul Peh, right? And it's the same Navla there, it's the same Shorish there, Nivul Peh. And Nevel level that comes, yeah, but Nevel Peh, and he's talking about Safa. Get it? You're waning. I can tell you're tired. Also, Felice is very tired. I asked her.
Vinavla, and we shall perplex. As an echo of the slogan, one nation and one language for all, Am echad b'safa echad l'chulam, the reply shall be comparable, but in the opposite direction. And we shall perplex the existing ties and cooperation by disrupting the main avenue of communication between people, as shown by the directional shape of the reading mark. So when we're going to go forward from this, we're going to take mida keneged mida, measure opposed to measure, the exact tool that they are using in order to build this thing. The single language is going to be what is going to be turned against them and allow the thing to be destroyed. Sham, there, with the tipcha, a closing of the phrase, looking backwards and pausing slightly afterwards. By that, the mutual understanding in the society will come to an abrupt end, and there will be no further scientific growth, as stressed by the closing shape of the directional reading mark. There, this thing is going to end. It's going to look back, and all the things that they did there are going to stay there and not move to any points further from it. And there will be a pause afterwards, because of the tipcha, sifvatam, their lips, with the stabilizing etnachta. Besides interference from the outside, also their lips shall become functionally disfigured, distorting their pronunciation as denoted by the stabilizing shape of the reading mark. So, the punishment is going to be stabilized by the fact that they are not going to have the ability to speak like the others could speak, and hence we're saying that this is not their language, but rather their physical lips that are going to become deformed and different. So
stabilizing
before,
in that sense that
before we were talking about things that are conceptual, and now we're going to bring it into things that are physical, that they are no longer going to, so we're going to bring it down from the level of something that is higher, their ideas, into something that is lower, and the punishment is going to flow down to both include their intentions and their physical ability to actually speak. Just like before, they had Am Echad, everybody had the same intention, V'safa Echad, and the same physical ability to communicate. We're going to now make their intentions, Navla, and we're going to make their physical ability to communicate, Sifatam. We're going to ruin both the intention and the physical expression of the intention.
Which is, by the way, before you go on, if you look at page...
So again, Mida Keneged Mida. We're saying measure against measure.
No, I was saying page 127.
Page 127.
Can't be by accident that... How did this whole story start? By them saying, Hava Nivneh Lanu, right? And here's Hava, when they get the punishment, it's definitely parallel, like Hava and Hava. Right?
So again, that Hava is upwards looking, from starting from the bottom, trying to go up to the top, and this Hava is downwards looking, starting from the top and trying to go down to the bottom, trying to introduce the justice from above into below, by again exactly ruining things in the sequence that they had tried to build them with.
And this is a good example of in Lashon HaKodesh where they talk about Davar B'Hipucho. So it's using the same language, but a thing in its opposite. In Hebrew, sometimes the same word, means the opposite. Like to stone someone and to remove stone from the field is the same word. It's like hill. Because things do come full circle. The 2 points that are closest on a circle are also the furthest apart. That's why Hodwat Kush, let's do a Purim board. Hodwat Kush, when they want to show range, we usually say like, what's that, what do you got to be? From A to Z, or from the New York to LA, or, but Hodwat Kush are we're close to each other. Because after you've gone around the world, they're next to each other. So to show gamut, it's not showing two things that are furthest apart, it's actually coming full circle. Literally coming full circle. Like, or they say, from the water, you want to show two jobs, you say, from a doctor to a bum, let's say. Did I point to myself? I hope not. But they can't see that on tape. But look what they do when they want to show two jobs in the Torah, they want to show gamut, they say from the hewers of stone to the Shoravei Mayim, to the water, they're both blue-collar jobs. So they don't say from the stockbroker to the garbage can man, you know what I mean? To show gamut, that's how they show gamut. And that's why in Hebrew, the Barbehipucho, it comes, a word that's opposite, on one hand it's most opposite, on the other hand it comes full circle. See, when you do listen to me finally, something falls through.
It makes sense sometimes.
No, only sometimes you understand it. It always makes sense. But, yeah.
Asher, that, number 6, for the Pashta. So this is going to focus us forward onto what's going to go afterwards, and slightly highlight the word. As a result of that, the people shall become like unrelated individuals. Whatever they undertake will not reach its purpose in the anticipated direction as suggested by the directional shape of the related reading mark. So when we move forward from here, all of the things that they used as tools to build before are no longer going to be available to them. Lo, not with a munach, so this is strongly separated from what's come from before and is going to move us forward into the new reality. The combination of accumulated knowledge will cease, and any higher levels will not be achieved as expressed by the shape of the reading mark. So we are no longer going to be able to make progress on any of these things that they are both communicating about and physically building, because we're going to have this sharp separation going into the future. Yishme'u, they shall understand.
That's it, they will hear.
And again, I think we're talking about the perfection of an anthropomorphized device. Yishma'u, they will hear. To hear is not just to physically perceive a sound as we have, but rather to completely understand something in all of its fullness, the divine and complete sense of Yishma'u, of they shall hear. So hence we say they shall understand, because it's not just physically perceiving the sound, it is getting the wholeness of the concept.
So why is that anthropomorphized? We're talking about people, so they're people.
We're talking about what the angels are going to do to them. So the angels are talking in their own language.
In angel talk or in people talk? Oh, You mean angels are talking and people talk, so on that way it's answered remarks. Okay.
They shall understand, so they are not going to have the fullness of understanding of each other. They shall understand only emotional noises, but shall not comprehend any meaning or advice, as specified by the bipartite shape of the reading mark. So they will get something, but it's not going to be useful to them. They're going to understand that they're being asked a question, but they're not going to know what the question is.
It's just something
Ish,
very, okay.
yeah.
That's something very funny, because I'm thinking, it even has the word United Nations, where they're all sitting there with the different, and it's getting translated into all these languages, sort of like a tikkun or whatever, for a lot of nations coming together for one purpose against Israel, and they don't have the same language, but they're all nowadays, if the Tower of Babel had just had those earphones, the tower would have continued to be built, I guess. So they would have understood what they're saying. Good point, Sheldon.
One for Sheldon. Ish, a man with a tikha. So this is going to focus us backwards on what's happened from before and slightly pause afterwards. Under those circumstances, a man shall become isolated not only in the society, but also in his closest environment, not being able to ask questions or give answers as referred backwards by the directional shape of the reading mark. So, the not hearing and not understanding is going to make each man separate in and of himself, and they are no longer going to be a society, and that is going to pause and have a closed sense afterwards. Sfat, a lip of, with a merchas, is lightly, we'll get back to the added note afterwards. A lip of, number 10. We're going to get back to it afterwards. There's another comment there.
Oh, no. I thought you meant like a trope note.
Due to the discrepancy between sensory and motoric speech, even the reconstruction of meanings by the formation of a lip of the talker was also prevented from serving a purpose, as illustrated by the directional shape of the reading mark. Lo yishma'u ish sfat re'ehu. From there on forward, even lip reading, even trying to glean things from body language, just didn't seem to work. Re'ehu, his fellow, with the stabilizing sof pasuk, instead of making contacts of friendship among countrymen, re'ehu, the lack of understanding will cause discord and hatred among the people. I didn't quite understand where he gleaned this stability.
That's the third time you use that. You like the word glean. You know how many times you use that tonight?
I'm not
no.
sure.
I'm not saying it's a negative thing.
I'm obviously out there harvesting this week. As much snow as I can harvest, that's what I'm doing. Instead of making contacts of friendship among the countrymen, re'ehu, the lack of understanding will cause discord and hatred. So other than the fact that the goal of the angels is to, in fact, break things up, and the destruction of the current order is what will bring stability. I'm not quite sure how this fits with the stabilizing sof pasuk, other than if we use re'ehu in this type of rhetorical making fun of them sense. Their friend, well, he's not really going to be their friend anymore, is he? Because you have nothing in common and you can't communicate with each other and you can't plan or do anything with him. So,
well, I think it's what we said with the Barbi Buchol, that stabilizing is really destabilizing. You know what I mean? This whole thing, which was, is now destabilizing.
Yeah. Or you're crystallizing or stabilizing the solution of the angel. In other words, that their proposed solution of jumbling the language, causing perplexity.
That was accomplished.
That in of itself created stability in the solution and stability for the longevity of the world.
Right.
And we're going to go back just a couple of lines up because we had an additional comment. Lo yishma'u ish, not they shall understand a man, instead of lo yishma'u anashim, that's people, plural, won't have understanding, but a single man. The grammatical maladjustment indicates a logical deafness. Hence, in the Hebrew, shama means not only to hear, but also to understand. Because if one does not understand a language, he hears only mumbling instead of words, which could not be repeated. Vayishma Yitro.
What does that
Shema
mean?
Yisrael.
So the Yishma Yitro,
So,
not only did he hear it, but
Yitro-
he understood.
Yes, so Yitro, so we say
What's the
Yitro
difference?
singular distinction there that he gets the mention for is not only did he hear that this happened,
He understood
but he understood that there was a deeper meaning behind it, that it was a sign of divine intervention, that it wasn't just weird coincidences or strange events that should not shape your actions afterwards.
And with Yitro, it's the same pasuk there, very close. How he knew, he only the enemies of Israel can appreciate, because he was one of the councils to Paro. He saw God's greatness because he knew what they were planning. Remember? So he had a much appreciation of what God is doing because he knew what was on the planning stages. Remember? It was him and Eov, and who was the third one? Bilam. Remember? And each one had a different... So he had a greater appreciation of God's greatness because he knew what the Mitzrayim were planning. Asher Zadu, you know...
Right.
Right.
Yes. So I think we've introduced this idea before that when we say the word ish, a man, sometimes this is a code word for not just any man, but a man of importance, a man who is going to shape events. So
Like
lo
Mordechai,
yishma'u ish, that not only would people not hear each other, lo yishma'u anashim, but people of importance, people who would make events happen, people who would formulate ideas and plans and so on. So those people of importance would not have the ability to understand either, and hence could not proceed forward with plans. So I think that's also perhaps part of what the singular there means rather than the plural.
Just like our prohibition.
So when we read through the pasuk again, we're going to see the first note, the yativ, the thing that looks like a ma'apach, but is in fact put before the very first letter, and is a pausing, separating note, not a connecting note. So that word is going to stand out by itself. And ish and sfatz re'ehu, again, are going to be separated out at the end of the sentence, so that a person who would perhaps determine what are going to be the plans is not going to even be connected with any way of making even the smallest inroads with another person. Hava nerda v'navla sham sifatam asher lo yishmu. Let me say it again. Asher lo yishmu ish sifat re'ehu. And I think we're going to stop there for the evening.
This is very small.
We're going to pause for a week or two, and then we'll continue.
Go ahead.
Right?